Welcome to the AI Campa Show Tech and AI. My name is Greg and I am the presenter Generate by AI. I am created by Luis Campanella. I hope you enjoy the episode is full interesting. Please subscribe and thank you.
All right, let's get right into it. For the longest time, we thought the future of the internet was all about fiber optic cables buried deep in the ground. But what if I told you the next great frontier isn't on Earth at all? We're looking up, because there's a new battle being fought right now, in orbit around our planet. This is the satellite internet revolution. So that leads to the big question, right? Why? Why go through all the trouble of moving our internet infrastructure into space? I mean, it sounds incredibly complex, super expensive, and just far away. But as we're about to see, this shift up into orbit could connect our planet in a way we've never, ever been able to before.
To really get what's happening, we've got to understand the huge technological leap that's making all of this possible. See, it's not just about, flinging more satellites into the sky. It's about putting a totally different kind of satellite in a very, very different place.
Okay, so for decades, satellite internet meant these things called geostationary or GEO satellites. They kind of just hang out in one spot relative to the Earth, but man, they are way out there. We're talking about 36,000 kilometers away. Now, the new kids on the block are these LEO satellites for low Earth orbit, and they're just zipping around a few hundred kilometers up. That massive difference in altitude, that changes everything. It is the whole ballgame.
That huge distance with the old GEO satellites, that's what creates something called high latency. It's really just a fancy term for that super frustrating delay. You know it, right? That awkward pause on a video call, or the lag that makes online gaming just impossible. Well, because these new LEO satellites are so much closer, they pretty much kill that delay. You get the instant, snappy connection we all need for modern life. It really boils down to this. Lower altitude means lower latency. Simple as that.
So with this new LEO technology finally unlocked, it has kicked off an absolutely incredible new space race. But this isn't about planting flags and leaving footprints this time. No, this is a race to build the entire planet's next-generation information backbone. So let's meet the main competitors who are battling it out.
And leading the pack, leading by a massive margin, is SpaceX's Starlink. To really put this into perspective, those 6,000-plus satellites up there, that's more than all other active satellites from every country and company combined. They're not just in the race, they are setting a blistering pace that makes it incredibly hard for anyone else to even try to compete.
But, it's not just a one-horse race. While Starlink is aiming for that huge consumer and business market, other giants are carving out their own niches. You've got Amazon's Project Cooper, which is smartly tying its service into its huge AWS cloud business to go after enterprise clients. Meanwhile, OneWeb is zeroing in on more specialized markets. Think governments, maritime shipping, and other industries. And you absolutely cannot overlook China's Guowang. They're building out a massive constellation of their own, signaling that this is a clear strategic national priority. The sky is getting very, very busy.
But listen, this is so much more than a story about corporate rivalries or cool new technology. The real reason this race matters, the reason it's so important, is its potential to solve a massive, decades-old global problem.
Just let that number sink in for a second. 2.6 billion people. That's almost a third of the entire population of Earth still living on the wrong side of the digital divide. And this isn't just an inconvenience. We're talking about a fundamental barrier to education, to economic opportunity, to modern healthcare. This is the enormous gap that satellite internet promises it can finally close.
So who are we really talking about connecting here? We're talking about that remote village where laying a fiber optic cable would be physically impossible or just way too expensive. We're talking about giving high-speed internet to ships in the middle of the ocean or workers on an oil rig hundreds of miles from shore. And maybe most critically, we're talking about disaster zones. When an earthquake or hurricane knocks everything out on the ground, satellites can restore communications for first responders almost instantly.
Of course, a project this ambitious is bound to have some serious challenges. You can't just blanket the Earth with tens of thousands of satellites and not expect some pretty unique growing pains. And frankly, we're only just beginning to grapple with them.
And these hurdles are significant, and they're all connected. First off, there's space debris. The more stuff we launch, the higher the risk of something going wrong. Then there's the cost. The actual receiver dish on the ground can still be too expensive for the very communities that need it most. On top of that, it's regulatory chaos, a bit of a Wild West up there with no clear rules for who goes where. And finally, these bright satellites create light pollution, which is a real problem for astronomers trying to see the universe.
Let's just focus on that space debris problem for a moment. This is not just about littering. The big fear, the nightmare scenario, is a concept called the Kessler syndrome. The idea is that one collision in orbit creates a cloud of debris. That debris then causes more collisions, creating even more debris, and on in a runaway chain reaction. If that were to happen, it could make entire parts of Earth's orbit totally unusable for generations. It's a serious, serious risk. But even with these challenges, the innovation isn't slowing down at all. In fact, it's actually accelerating. So let's look ahead and see what's coming next on the horizon as we push toward this dream of a fully connected planet.
The future isn't just about more satellites, it's about integration. Imagine your phone just seamlessly switching between a 5G network and a satellite connection the second you drive out of range. Up in orbit, the satellites themselves will talk to each other using lasers, creating this incredibly fast, resilient mesh network in the sky. We're also going to see specialized satellite groups just for the Internet of Things. And maybe the best part of all, as this competition gets more and more intense, the cost for everybody should keep coming down.
So when you boil it all down, what we're witnessing is a fundamental rewiring of our planet's connectivity. This race for low Earth orbit is not just another tech trend. The technology is proven, the major players are all in, and the stakes for global communication just couldn't be any higher. The only question that's left is whether all this incredible ambition will finally fulfill that promise of a truly connected world for every single one of us.